No, baby, that's for somebody else. We're just gonna keep you right where you at right now.
It doesn't matter what you think.
The Wrestling Realm presents Break It Down with Brian H.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this episode of Break It Down with Brian H. Episode number 70. Can you believe it? 70 traditional episodes. Show been going on since March 2018. Wow. So, I'm going to start off this show differently. A little on a sad note, as the world of professional wrestling just lost a legend this past Sunday. I got the word, as many of you, especially those who are in the East Coast, some of my independent wrestling friends and family have heard the word that the great Lyle C. Williams has passed away. Lyle was a photographer, a ringside photographer, and did some backstage work as well as far as photography for many companies. Best known for his work at CZW, Combat Zone Wrestling, and WSU. Actually, the first time I met Lyle was here in Baltimore at a company called Real Championship Wrestling. And he was taking pictures, and I was just standing there. And at the time, I wasn't working in professional wrestling. We was just getting a wrestling realm started, the real Dwayne Allen and I. So we had attended the show. And on that night, we saw Mia Yim take on Kimberly. And, we talked, and he was giving praises on how good she was. Some of you may know that I have done some work with WSU Wrestling. I did backstage social media for about a year. Even did some color commentary for the show. And it was the War Games was the main event. But during my time there, I would see Lyle. Me and my brother Hugh would go up there with our boy Blake. And while Blake was doing the booking, Lyle was out doing, photography. And he would come to the shows, always in a good mood. You could see sometimes he would joke about his knees and he would have his knee pads. And he always was willing to give pointers, whether it was to me, to Hugh. I was doing the social media stuff, but he would give me pointers on where to stand in the ring, kind of how to watch out for the wrestlers. And those who you may know, in CZW, it's always a lot of blood being shed. And a lot of, I was at a match when David Starr took on Dave Chris. And after the match, David Starr had me take a picture of the thumbtack in his chin. But like I said, Lyle was the type of person who was always willing to give a helping hand. So we saw a lot of the pro wrestling community extend their love. This is a business where you always hear about backstabbing. You always hear about cutthroat. It's the entertainment business. Everybody's trying to scratch and crawl their way to get on top. And I remember talking to Lyle. He would talk about the competitors that the photographers would have because, everybody wanted that picture in PWI magazine, to get that right photo. But he was still willing to help. And he would help you try to get that perfected photo so that you could get some shine. Because he would say he had his time. So the wrestling world definitely miss him. We saw people pouring out. Obviously Mia Yim, Greg, Excellent. And so many names. Stokely, So shout out to Lyle. Thoughts and prayers go out to his family. Lyle, I just got to say publicly, thank you, man. I appreciate everything you've done. So with that being said, I'm going to get into the top rope this week.
Going up to the top rope.
It's time for this week's Top Rope segment of the week.
All right. The top rope this week is NXT has crowned a new champion. I started the show off talking about Lyle Williams, and it would just be right that I would start the show off with somebody who I stood beside while Lyle was taking his picture of this man, and that's Adam Cole, baby. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Adam Cole is your new NXT champion, defeating Johnny Gargano this past Saturday at TakeOver 25. And what a match it was. You know, ever since Cole's been in the WWE, folks, I've been seeing nothing but great matches from him. Here's a guy who the WWE could have easily, Triple H could have easily put the title on him. If you remember, he debuted when he made his debut. It was right after Drew McIntyre had won the NXT Championship, and he super kicked him. And it was like, wow, Adam Cole is here. He's finally at NXT. And I remember talking to him and, just getting, not a lot of inside information, but I remember him telling me about, when he first tried out for the WWE and it didn't happen. But to now see him there, he's a guy who's got the look. I don't know, my boy Terrence is out there saying he still don't get it. I'm not going to take the time to go back and forth. The guy oozes in charisma. If you walk down the street with him, he's going to turn ladies' heads. He's going to turn guys' heads as well. I've heard guys say, some of the straightest guys, married guys say he's their man crush. I don't get down like that. I will go ahead and say it on air because, it's no secret. My wife, that's her favorite wrestler. Before he was in WWE or NXT, when he was in ROH, before he was in ROH champion, she saw some backstage photo work that I did with behind the scenes video work I did for when him and Blake Thomas had their photo shoot. And she was like, oh, who's that guy? But that's another story. He is your NXT champion. Undisputed Era is on top. Woo! How sweet it is. So let's move on to Monday Night Raw. So it's been known, Seth Rollins, you are a marked man. Brock Lesnar made it clear he's cashing in. He was told by Stephanie McMahon he had to cash in his Money in the Bank contract. So, we saw Lesnar come out and get dressed on Monday Night Raw, only to beat Seth Rollins into a puddle of his own blood. And, there's this, why not talk about it? There's this rumor and innuendo that Vince McMahon is upset because Brock beat Seth down too hard. The word on the street is Brock went into shoot mode because he got tired of Seth Rollins running his mouth about him, calling him a coward and saying that he was, he wasn't worth it. But nonetheless, we saw Seth Rollins go to a medical facility after getting beat down, and we even saw Becky Lynch with him by her side as he was wheeled to the ambulance. So Brock Lesnar said, I'm not cashing in. He told Paul Heyman, I'm cashing in on Friday. Yes, Friday at WWE Super Showdown. Only time will tell what happens. Stephanie said he had to cash in. She didn't. And I assume the loophole in this is he had to name a date when he's going to cash in. So, but he still hasn't cashed it in because it's not like they made an official match the same way Braun Strowman cashed in, the same way John Cena cashed in, and the same way Rob Van Dam cashed in. Those are the names that just come out to me. It might be another one or two, but those are the names. So we're going to find out. Seth Rollins is set to defend the title against Baron Corbin, and quite frankly, I don't see Corbin winning that match, but we will see a weak Seth Rollins going into that. And folks, Shark, we might be seeing Lesnar leave Saudi Arabia with the title. All right, moving on. The Undertaker and Goldberg, folks, it's happening. We are getting Undertaker versus Goldberg. It's very rare that we see the Undertaker in a match that we've never seen him in before. But it's for some, this is a dream match. Undertaker versus Goldberg, the face of WWE versus the face of WCW. We got Sting versus Triple H. We haven't, and maybe one day, who knows, we'll get Undertaker versus Sting. But nonetheless, we're getting Undertaker versus Goldberg. Undertaker said, "You're next," and he said, "Rest in peace." Goldberg says, "You're next to rest in peace." Hey, Monday Night Raw, USA Network, don't act like we don't know. You guys cut the time off because we didn't get to hear the Undertaker say rest in peace. It was just, whoop, on to the next program. Somebody didn't hit their times right. So, nonetheless, but we did see the Undertaker do Undertaker things. If you're on your screen on YouTube, you can see right there, the Undertaker shows up behind Goldberg. The two go face to face. And then the Undertaker would disappear like a thief in the night. Boy, this is going to be a match. I can't wait. Yeah, I'm excited. I've never seen the match before. 2 o'clock Friday. Look, I know some of you may be working. I know exactly what my work assignment is going to be. You best believe the last time that the assignment I will be doing, the last time I was listening to something to wrestle with Bruce Pritchard as they was talking about the big boss man. Best believe my phone will be sitting right there while I'm doing my work. So I'm going to go ahead and take my first break. Got a word coming up from the Big Gold Belt Podcast.
Yo, this is 2 Chainz of the Big Gold Belt Wrestling Podcast, and you are now listening to Break It Down with Brian H. Waters, brought to you by the Wrestling Wrealm.
And I'm back, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you are subscribed to the Big Gold Belt Podcast. Shout out to my boy 2 Chainz over there and the crew. I'm not going to get the name of everybody because I don't want to mess up anybody's name or forget somebody. I just can tell you who the one I talk to all the time. That's my boy 2 Chainz. So make sure you check them out. Ladies and gentlemen, Randy Orton Triple H Super Showdown. Are you excited? Some may be, some may not be. I ain't gonna lie, I am. I'm always down for a good Randy Orton versus Triple H match. In fact, I even said that I'm going to go back and watch their series of, 3 matches they had at No Mercy. I believe that was 2007. That's around, I ain't going to lie, between 2004 through 2010, I watched wrestling and I watched it every week, but there aren't like those moments where I know all the WrestleManias, but I don't remember the dates. Like if you talk about before that or afterwards, I can just pull out the dates. I don't know why. Maybe it's just because I was, in college, out of college, first marriage, divorce, whatever. But nonetheless, Randy Orton and Triple H, that's going to be a good match. But let's get over one thing. Can we stop with the Triple H has his balls in Stephanie McMahon's purse? It's old. CM Punk said it. I believe Batista may have said it. The Rock probably said it. Everybody said it. Triple H is, come on now. I'm not the biggest, I'm not a Triple H guy, but I do like him. But I'm not like, oh man, I'm so quick to defend him. It's old. Let's stop it. Anyway, moving on to the ladies. Nikki Cross defeated Peyton Royce. What did we just talk about a couple weeks ago? The Iconics keep losing. I understand, they haven't defended the titles not once. I'm hoping at the next pay-per-view that the name escapes me, but I'm hoping they defend the titles. I believe it's called Stomping Grounds. But they keep losing. So I don't know. Let me just wait because now clearly it keeps happening. So there's a bigger payoff right here. But we did see Alexa Bliss. And if you look on your screen, she has this innocent little face where Billie Kay had caused her to get coffee on her. And then she would team up with Nikki. Her and Nikki are kind of like allies or whatever. So we thought we was getting a Alexa Bliss face turn. And you wondering why I said thought if you didn't watch the show. But then we go to SmackDown. And we have the moment of bliss on SmackDown Live, right? So on this, she had to sit down with Bayley. First of all, she came out and insulted the crowd. She said, she insulted the brand. She said, I'm bringing the moment of bliss over here, even though I come from the superior brand. No pop, no booze, nothing. Why? Look, there's no point in doing a Raw versus SmackDown with the fans because in reality, the fans have no loyalty because why should they? They're loyal to the WWE product. It's not like you're going into Raw territory or SmackDown territory. Generally, you go to the show that comes to your town. Sometimes I live in Baltimore. Sometimes Raw comes here. Sometimes SmackDown comes here. Yes, at home, I'm a SmackDown guy first, but it's not like the people in the crowd, everybody in the crowd is a SmackDown guy or gal. They're simply rooting for the brand that their town is hosting. So I wasn't a fan of that. And then, it was a triple threat match. Her, Charlotte, and Carmella. Winner faces Bayley for the SmackDown Live Women's title. And guess who wins the match? Alexa Bliss. So you bring over a Monday Night Raw superstar with this wild card rules, fine. But now you're saying, hey, you know what? She's going to be the one to challenge Bayley. Normally, I kind of have an issue with it because you do have talent over there like an Ember Moon who could be in the matchup. But I understand Carmella not being there. She has a beef with Mandy Rose. That makes perfect sense. She's beefing with Rose and Sonya Deville. Obviously, we don't want to see Charlotte again. I'm a huge Charlotte fan, but no, not right now. But then Alexa Bliss, like, come on now. Is Ember Moon still hurt? I mean, she was in the Money in the Bank ladder match. Maybe I don't know. So, she's on SmackDown. So, not really a fan of that. So, moving on. R-Truth is still, no, he's not. He lost the 24/7 championship after he was told to defend it. He would defend it against Elias, and they had a rule where it was a lumberjack match. And because of the lumberjack rules, because of the 24/7 rules, they had to put that rule on hold, stating that the people couldn't get in the ring to disrupt the match until the match was over. Then they could challenge the champion. Elias will win the title again, 2-time champion. If you're counting, R-Truth lost the belt this past weekend, but he got it right back on a golf course. Lost it to Jinder Mahal, who's a former champion. Then he would regain the title on SmackDown Tuesday night when he went underneath the ring to recapture the gold. So, if you're counting, let's go over this. Titus O'Neil, champion, loses it to Robert Roode, who lost it to R-Truth, who lost it to Elias, who lost it to R-Truth, who lost it to Jinder Mahal, who lost it to R-Truth, who lost it to Elias, who lost it to R-Truth. He's a 4-time champion. So when we think of this title, we will be thinking of R-Truth. So now it's time for the Tapped Out.
Here's our Tapped Out segment of the week.
My goodness. The Tapped Out this week is Braun Strowman and Bobby Lashley doing an arm wrestling match. If this was 1985, I would understand. I know they used to have all these strong competitions with Hercules and Ultimate Warrior and Don Morocco? Or Dino Bravo. Somebody will correct me. But those were the guys look muscular and you had the pose downs. But this stuff doesn't translate well in 2019. You have two guys who really should be challenging Seth Rollins for the Universal Heavyweight Championship. But instead, they are beefing, and then they have this. So, I know this is a way, just kind of like something to do on a go-home show, the WWE Super Showdown in Saudi Arabia. But I'm just not a fan of it. But hey, you know what? It doesn't have to be for me. Hopefully somebody else likes it. Like I said, I just wasn't a fan of it. I will say this. I want to know what people think about this Bray Wyatt. This week he had a picture of Vince McMahon. I'm not going to show the picture just because reasons I don't want to. You can go out and find it, but it's like Vince McMahon, the devil horns, and I'm still on the fence about this. I haven't really talked about it that much, but I'm not going to say I'm not feeling it. Like, I don't hate it. It's just, again, something else, not necessarily for me. But I'm wondering, what do you guys think about it? Tweet me at Brian H. Waters. Let me know what you think. Tweet us at Wrestling Realm. I'm seriously curious. What do you guys think? What do you think will be the payoff for Bray Wyatt? So I'm actually going to take another break and got a word coming up.
Yo, this is Malik Smith with the No Rules Podcast, and you're listening to Break It Down with Brian H., brought to you by the Wrestling Realm.
And I'm back, ladies and gentlemen. So that was word from my boy Malik of the No Rules Podcast. Make sure you check out their show each and every week on Apple, iTunes, or Spotify, wherever you get your podcast from. Make sure you check out the No Rules Podcast. Folks, last week when I recorded Break It Down with Brian H., as I was posting this show, other shows came out, as they always do. But one of the shows that came out was Dean Ambrose on Talk Is Jericho. Yes, folks, we finally got to hear Dean Ambrose speak. So I haven't had a chance to give my public reactions. So allow me to do that right now. So one of the things here's some of my takeaways. One, from good old Dino, or excuse me, I've been saying his name Dean Ambrose, and I know the internet is going crazy. Jon Moxley. one of the things we learn from Mr. Moxley is that he feels Vince McMahon is out of touch creatively. He says his process sucks. People, one of the things, so a lot of people are comparing this to CM Punk, but to me, when I listen to CM Punk, I heard more crying and whining. With Ambrose, I heard him venting to his friend, but I didn't hear as much as being like so much crying and whining as opposed to just, he was literally saying, I'm not happy. You never heard him really complain about why he wasn't given an opportunity to main event WrestleMania. We did hear about him talk about lines they wanted him to say. And then there's a rumor. I'm not going to read the words because they're so bad. You can find it. But there's a rumor out there on what was said. Now, Moxley said this. He said it was bad that whoever wrote the line should be fired. And they should be ashamed of themselves. And he said that it would create so much backlash. Somebody tweeted out what they believe was said, and they asked Jericho if there was any truth to that. Jericho said all lies. Now, you can't really trust anybody in the business, but give it up. This is my thing. Give it up. Why do you people need to know? Just so that you can use this as ammunition to bash the WWE. Just leave it alone. But what I heard from Moxley was that, he just wasn't happy. And that's okay. I understand where he's coming from. I've been on a job where I wasn't happy. And, fortunately, I was able to do the same thing. And that was leave. Now, I wasn't able to just leave. It wasn't a situation where I had to take care of myself, to be honest with you. I was, still living at home. So I couldn't just I'm just up and gone. It wasn't, but, I still had to pay for my car note, still had to pay bills. It wasn't like, my car is paid for, my house is paid for, like the situation he's in. But I will give him this. He honored his contract. That's one thing. He let them know ahead of time, and he fulfilled his dates. You got to give him credit for that. He could have easily said, no, I'm sitting at home. He could have faked an injury, something like that, and caused more issues, but he didn't. And obviously, he knows he has his wife there, and I don't think it's going to be too much backlash. I know AEW seems like the cool kid in town right now, so I'm interested to see what happens. But like I said on last week's show, I think AEW is a better fit for him. I think that with him, he's more of a guy who kind of, he doesn't really translate well into the PG era. Let's be real. Sure, he has some fans, but, some of the fans, I ain't even going to say that, but, he just doesn't, but he says he loves wrestling. And that's the thing. He loves wrestling. He wanted to watch it. He said whether it was Impact, whether it was WWE, NXT, New Japan, he just wanted to watch wrestling. And I think with AEW, we'll get to see him express his love and passion for the business. And like I said, he didn't come off as whining so much as he did, knowledge where he was grateful for what the WWE has done for him. And said the best thing he got was his wife. I mean, for anybody, that's a win no matter what. If you get a whole wife out of the deal, come on now. So shout out to him. Now, I have to address this. There's a narrative online, especially amongst the black wrestling community, where people are saying that Sasha Banks is owed an apology. They said that if we're going to talk about Ambrose and give him praises, we need to apologize to Sasha Banks. Here's my thing. And I looked on Twitter today. I didn't do live checking on interviews and stuff, but I looked on Twitter. One thing I noticed with Sasha, she's tweeted she loved wrestling. She tweeted emojis about wrestling. She's tweeted with her fellow colleagues at the WWE. She's even gone on Instagram. Now, she did post a picture of herself with black hair as opposed to the red or pink hair, whatever you want to call it. And then she said, Mercedes, where are you? For those who don't know, Mercedes is her natural name, a real name. But she said, I found you and I shouldn't lose you again, stuff like that. But I have not found nothing clear that says from her bashing the WWE. So I'm not going to sit up here and say, we owe Sasha Banks an apology, as more so that we need to stop reading into what the dirt sheets have been saying when they say that Oh, Sasha's been sitting down. Her and Bayley was pouting and moaning after they lost the tag team titles. She's heard the rumors. Clearly, like, we hear it, they hear it. She posted a picture with her and the Iconics, her and Bayley and the Iconics. It was a congratulations after they dropped the titles to them. So who's right now? You know, these dirt sheets, I don't understand why they feel the need to just constantly bash a company. You know, you see, yes, in sports, you see writers critique a player. You might see them critique the league when deemed necessary. But the thing from sports writers I never get is that they don't come off as people who literally nitpick, as if they hate the company, as if they hate the NBA, or they hate the NFL. Sure, they may say Tom Brady should have threw the ball better. Or they may say Patrick Mahomes should stop running as much. Or maybe let me go ahead and use Lamar Jackson stop running as much. But they don't come off as like the hatred. From the dirt sheet writers that I've been seeing, and excuse my expression, the crap that they've been writing, they come off as if they hate wrestling. And then they wonder why people make fun of wrestling fans when you got these keyboard jerks sitting behind writing things because they want to critique every little thing about the product, about a business, about a ring that they never stepped foot in. You know, whatever happened to just enjoying wrestling? Sure, I get on my podcast and I talk about it and I point out the things I like, the things I dislike. But you know what happens when I get to a point where I'm not feeling the product? I don't do a show. I sit back, I don't tune in, I watch something else. I watch movies, I watch soap operas. But no, you got people out there who they may be in a pissy mood, excuse my expression, and then they start saying a bunch of stuff about the product. Vince McMahon is stupid. You know, there was a guy I met, Lead Champion. Shout out to him. When we met at ROH back in 2012, when Ring of Honor started coming to Baltimore, and we talked and we would text. And one of the things Lee said is, you know what? I don't watch WWE. And then I listened. Lee had a podcast, and on there he said, I don't hate it. It's just not for me. I'd rather watch Ring of Honor or Shikara or New Japan, and I respected that. You know, but sitting up here seeing all these writers from all over the world just sit up there and just hammering and chomping at the bit to say something bad about the WWE, to say something bad, even about AEW. Enough. Enough is enough. If you don't like it, don't watch. What is the point? And these are the type of people that's been criticizing Sasha Banks when there's clearly no evidence on her social media that she come out and said, Vince McMahon did this to me, I'm staying home. Now, if there's an interview out there I may have missed, I will accept full responsibility. If there's a post-WrestleMania interview that I may have missed, I will accept full responsibility. I did a social media research. I didn't do a web research, so let me make that clear. But enough with the Sasha Banks. I'm not giving her an apology because, quite frankly, I'm not criticizing her of doing anything wrong. If she's sitting at home because she wants to, so be it. Like I said on Twitter, and she liked the status, I said at Brian H. Waters, Sasha Banks is living her best life. Some of you need to take advice. So, ladies and gentlemen, that will be it for this episode of the Wrestling Realm. Make sure you have subscribed to the podcast, to the show. Make sure you are following me at Wrestling Realm on Twitter and Instagram. Make sure you are liking the Facebook fan page. Make sure you are subscribed down low on the YouTube channel. Just simply click the subscribe button. Until the next time, I'm Brian H. Waters. So long, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Break It Down with Brian H. Hit the subscribe button and turn on the bell so you get notified every time the Wrestling Realm posts new content.